The United Kingdom is drowning in an uncontrolled wave of chaos, and Germany just decided to hit its own citizens with punishment so severe it'll make your head spin. I'm Andrew Meatrich, former analyst who walked away from state propaganda to bring you the truth they don't want you to hear. What I'm about to tell you will change how you see Europe's future forever. Britain recorded the highest asylum claims in history, over 109,000 people in just 1 year, while 25,000 crossed the deadly Channel waters in the first half of 2025 alone. But if you think that's shocking, wait until you hear how Berlin just declared war on its own people with garbage fines that'll cost you more than a luxury car. You won't believe this. While Europe faces an unprecedented migration surge that's tearing communities apart, German bureaucrats decided ordinary citizens should pay €4,000 for throwing away a couch. That's not a typo. That's your new reality. Hit that like button right now if you want the truth about what's really happening to our continent. Subscribe, because tomorrow the news could change everything, and I need you in this fight against the lies, because what I'm about to show you proves our leaders have completely lost touch with reality. Let me paint you the picture of Britain's complete loss of control. 109,343 people claimed asylum in the UK in the year ending March 2025, which was 17% more than in the year ending March 2024 and 6% more than the previous peak of 103,081 in 2002. We're talking about numbers that make 2002 look like a quiet weekend. And now listen carefully. More than 25,000 people have crossed the English Channel to the UK in 2025. The highest total this early in the year. The small boats keep coming. 38,000 detected arrivals in just 1 year, each boat carrying an average of 54 desperate souls risking everything on the world's busiest shipping lane. Here's where it gets even worse. In May 2025, the National Audit Office produced a report suggesting that the asylum system is likely to cost over £15 billion over 10 years. £15 billion while British families struggle to heat their homes. According to the Home Office figures, housing asylum seekers in hotels costs taxpayers over £8 million a day, nearly $3 billion annually. The system is so overwhelmed that 32,000 asylum seekers live in hotels across Britain. 28 local councils are fighting court battles just to stop more arrivals in their areas. You see the pattern, right? This isn't immigration policy, it's administrative collapse disguised as compassion. What makes this crisis absolutely infuriating is the human cost being ignored by politicians living in their ivory towers. In 2024, there were 73 confirmed deaths related to such crossings, a record number, and 5 times more than the year before. 73 people lost their lives while Starmer promises to smash the gangs with absolutely nothing to show for it. Just imagine that for a second. Families torn apart, children floating face down in freezing water, while politicians give press conferences about their latest brilliant plan. The same politicians who scrapped the Rwanda deal without any replacement, who inherited a broken system and made it infinitely worse. Let me repeat that. Under Labour's watch, Channel crossings hit their fastest pace since records began in 2018. There were 38,023 people detected arriving by small boats in the year to March 2025. This was an increase of 22% compared to the previous year. 22% increase while they promised control and competence. The truth? British communities are paying the price for this chaos. Hotels emptied of tourists, local tensions exploding, and a system so broken that nearly half of asylum decisions get overturned on appeal. They're not just failing migrants, they're failing everyone. If you're still with me, hit that like button. It tells me you want the truth, not just the headlines. But if you think this is bad, wait until you hear what's happening in Berlin, where throwing away garbage wrong just became more expensive than buying a car. Now let's talk about Germany's war on its own citizens through the most insane fine increases you've ever heard. Berlin just approved penalties so extreme they'll make you question if you're living in a free society or a financial dictatorship. You won't believe this. For illegal disposal of bulky waste, 4,000 euros will be charged instead of the previous 150 euros. A couch that used to cost you 150 euros in fines now destroys your bank account with 4,000 euros. That's a 2,600% increase overnight for throwing away furniture. And now listen carefully. Throwing a cigarette butt on the ground will cost 250 euros instead of the previous 55 euros. A cigarette butt, that tiny piece of paper and tobacco, now costs you more than most people's weekly grocery budget. Illegal disposal of building rubble, for example, is to be punishable by fines of 25,000 euros for quantities of up to 100 kilograms. Here's where it gets even worse. These aren't proposals or suggestions. This is your new reality approved by the Berlin Senate. While European cities struggle with real crime, real problems, real challenges, German bureaucrats decided terrorizing citizens over garbage placement is their top priority. What makes this absolutely outrageous is how these fines compare to actual serious crimes. You can steal someone's bicycle and get a smaller fine than throwing away a plastic cup in the wrong bin. Think about that moral universe for just one moment. Just imagine that for a second. A refugee arriving in Britain gets free housing, free food, free healthcare, while a German worker gets financially destroyed for making a mistake with trash separation. The same minimum fine as for a discarded cigarette also applies to the discarding of plastic bags or disposable cups. 250 euros for a disposable cup. Let me repeat that. Berlin politicians think a coffee cup on the ground deserves a fine equivalent to 3 days of minimum wage work. Meanwhile, the same politicians celebrate diversity while their own people live in fear of bankruptcy over garbage placement. You see the pattern, right? European leaders have declared war on law-abiding citizens while rolling out red carpets for those who break immigration laws. They'll house, feed, and protect people who enter illegally, but destroy their own taxpayers over refuse violations. This isn't environmental protection, it's financial terrorism against ordinary people who built these societies. Hit that subscribe button if you're as furious as I am about this insanity. Here's what connects these two stories, and why they represent everything wrong with modern Europe. In Britain, the government lost control of immigration and asks taxpayers to fund the chaos. In Germany, the government terrorizes taxpayers with insane fines while spending billions on newcomers. What do you think? Comment below. Both stories prove our leaders have completely abandoned the people who elected them. They treat illegal immigration as unstoppable, while treating citizens like ATM machines to fund their failures. This is Andrew Meet Rich, and I've shown you today how Europe's establishment wages war on its own people. They demand infinite compassion for those who break laws, infinite punishment for those who follow them. They'll spend billions housing asylum seekers while financially destroying citizens over cigarette butts. Stay informed, stay angry, and keep demanding accountability. Like this video if you want more truth-telling that cuts through the propaganda. Subscribe and hit that notification bell because tomorrow will bring fresh outrages that demand exposure. And consider supporting independent journalism that isn't bought and paid for by the same politicians destroying our continent. The fight for Europe's future starts with citizens who refuse to accept this insanity as normal, because it's not normal, it's not acceptable, and it's not sustainable. The truth will set us free, but first it's going to make us very, very angry.